Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to jump on here today and talk a little bit about specifically people that are new in business or maybe want to start a business. My name is Allison Turner. I'm the founder of Bad Cat Media Group, which is home to my two other brands, Dream, Plan, Start, Grow, as well as the Allison Turner. And there's so many things I wish I knew early on in my business that I know now. Like if I could go, they always say hindsight's 20/20, but if I could go back in time and really hone in on some of the things I know now back then, I would be in such a different place. And that's why I'm really passionate about teaching some of that to my people that join me for my Dream Business Plan Masterclass, because there's so many things that we don't know. We don't know what we don't know when we start a business, right? So, hey, Michael, thanks for jumping on. So we don't know what we don't know. And I was an athlete growing up, and I almost feel like, business is kind of like athletics. When you start a business, it's kind of like when you're going through athletics and you're getting better and better and better. And how they always said to me, tennis is 20%, how you play and like what you put into it, and then 80% mental. And I was like, oh, is that really true? Well, it is true, because look at the greats in the world. Look at someone like Roger Federer, who's now retired, to Serena Williams, who's now retired, and now the current crop that's still in there. And think of how the top, the number 1 and 2 player in the world, number 1 through 5, are so much different a lot of times than even 6 through 10. Now, sometimes that can change, but like in the men's game, it's been those elite 2 or 3 at the top. When Djokovic was there, Rafa, Nadal, and Federer, like they won almost all the Grand Slams. There was very few that they didn't win. And that's interesting to me, because think of it in that world of entrepreneurship, like is a mental game. So it doesn't mean we can't succeed if we're not like a Roger Federer or somebody like that. But it just means that we're not going to be maybe the number 1. Maybe we're going to be the number 5, 6, and that's still really good. So don't get me wrong. But it's one of those things, when I started this company with a business partner, like no one ever told me any of those things of like, hey, you need to be on top of your game mentally, professionally, you got to learn all this stuff and you got to figure all this stuff out. And then hopefully it all makes sense to you. No one told me that. And starting a business is truly a wonderful challenge. And it's one I wouldn't give up for the world, but I didn't know how big a challenge it really was. Because like I've said before, you are everything, especially when you start a business. So unless you're really capitalized and have a ton of money and you can farm everything out from the get-go, typically you're the website designer, you're the accountant, you're the salesperson, you're the marketer, you're putting all the pieces together until you have the capital and the revenue to start farming some of those things out that you don't like, or maybe you're not good at, or you don't need to spend your time doing. And those are the important things. So it's a true challenge. And then the other thing it's really challenging with is it's always you're trying to improve yourself along with the company. So what I've found is owning a business, it's not just about owning a business. Like I always need to continue to work on myself, continue to build my confidence, continue to improve different aspects of how I think, the positive affirmations, the, being grateful every morning for what we have, all those types of things makes your mindset a different way when you go into your day for business. And again, those are things I wouldn't have associated together with business, but it's going hand in hand with the game of business. And so I always liken it to like a ladder. When you go up a ladder, here I am on this rung of the ladder, then I go up to this rung. And so it's almost like those two things are going up at the same time. So as your business grows, your business is improving, you're personally improving too. So it's like this, you're going up and up and up. And I think that's really important to realize. And again, something I wouldn't have realized. No one told me that when I started this business 10 years ago. No one said, hey, this is going to happen. So be on the lookout for it. You're going to need to continue to improve and and get better and all those things. And so I think that's important for anyone that wants to start a business or someone that's newer in business. Know what needs to happen to make yourself in your business a true success. And it really took me a few years of trial and error of like, okay, you're zigzagging around, and, they always say this is kind of the business journey is like this. And your ultimate goal is it's never going to be a straight line. So let's just be realistic. Something's always going to come in there. Even when you work for somebody else, if you're a salesperson, something always comes in. I mean, no one predicted the pandemic. Pandemic hit, all hell broke loose, and it changed drastically how different industries got impacted. And so it's never going to be a straight line, but what it can be is instead of like being like this, it can be more like this. And so maybe it's going to have some dips and things like that, but it's not going to be, zigzagging along. And so I'm still improving here, but I'm like taking these wide bursts to improve. And that's also important is, as you grow yourself personally and professionally, you learn where that path is and how you can get there more quickly. And owning a business takes a lot of resiliency and hard work. And again, this is kind of like a job, but the one thing with a job is most jobs, and I can't say all of them, but most jobs, you can go home at night and you can shut it off. Now, obviously, sometimes there's realtors, sometimes there's mortgage brokers, there's people that are, title agents that are maybe a little bit more around the clock because they have clients that are doing things on weekends and things like that. So this is not all jobs, but there are many jobs out there. And I would say there's more than not that you can go home and it's like the phone's turned off and you don't have to interact and you really shut off. And I think that's a gift in some ways, but that's not what you get when you own a business. When you own a business, I'm not always intentionally thinking, but something will just pop into my head of like, oh, what if I did this slightly differently? Or what if this happened? And I have to write it down. Otherwise I won't remember it the next day or the next hour. So at least if I write it down, even if I'm not thinking about it right that minute, but I used to have jobs where I just would stop at the end of the day. I would get done. I'd go home. I'd relax. I'd hang out with some friends. And the day was over. So I didn't have to think about business. I didn't have to think about like what the next steps were. And that's a little bit different when you own your own business. And then really when I started the business, knowing that I need to put in that strong foundation of personal and professional alignment, because ultimately when you own a business, you are always, the two go hand in hand. So kind of like I talked about working on yourself personally and professionally, those two things kind of go hand in hand. Same thing with your business and personal goals. Those two need to go hand in hand, because what you don't want to do is all of a sudden you dump all your time in the business and you don't have time for family, friends, whoever on this personal side, or vice versa. Maybe something really tough comes up on the family side and all of a sudden you're pulled away from the business and you don't really know what that recourse is, like who's taking over the business, or if you need a little extra time, who can you count on? So, but when your personal and professional goals are in alignment, meaning that you're setting them together, that's even more powerful. And again, I didn't know that when I started a business. So I was just thinking like, oh, okay, what are the goals for the company, right? I'm not thinking about myself, my business, my personal goals, my personal life, none of that. No. And that's really why I'm passionate about working with those who want to start a business or that are newer in business, and really helping them get to that next level, but get there with that firm foundation. So today I want to make that special offer. If anyone on here watching the replay, watching it live, knows of anyone that is starting a business, or maybe that's newer to business, or someone that's been in business but struggled a little bit of creating that strong foundation, I am offering a free webinar that's coming up on Thursday, October 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's only for an hour. You can register at yourdreambusinessplan.com. And it really, I'm going to talk a lot about, if you want to start a business, you're new in business, how do you put that strong foundation down? How do you align your personal and professional goals together? How do you make it so you're not sacrificing your life by starting a business? Because ultimately, when we start a business, we do it for all sorts of reasons. I did it. I don't even know why I did it. Honestly, I don't even know why I did it. It kind of just fell in my lap with this business partner, and we decided to do it. But ultimately, in hindsight, I would say I did it because I wanted something more challenging. I was bored with what the jobs I had previously had and was really looking for more of a challenge. And this offered that challenge. So for me, that's probably why I did it. But some people don't want to work for someone else any longer. Some people think they can make their own hours, all those different types of things. And some of that's doable, again, if you focus on putting the professional goals and personal goals and aligning those from day one. So if anyone knows of anyone that's watching this, or if you are potentially wanting to start a business, even if it's 6 months down the road or a year down the road, it's a completely free webinar. You can go to yourdreambusinessplan.com and register. Again, it's October 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for all that jumped on here live, and thank you for those who are watching the replay. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.